Hey, Carlie.
Hey, Lex. How you doing?
I'm awesome, as most of the time. Gotta keep it real.
No, that's real. I've made a conscious effort to be more honest when people ask you, like, oh, girl, how you doing? Instead of being like, oh, girl, good.
Yeah.
No, and damn.
I'm busy. The same thing.
Not.
But you can't be honest with everybody. Like, everybody doesn't need to know. Like, I'm kind of tired. I'm struggling with something. Like, everybody doesn't need to know that.
No, they don't. But for people who care about you, it's good to have a more honest... You good?
I was looking for my phone,
oh, okay,
but we're recording with it. Hello.
Hey, y'all. How you
Having
doing?
a slow moment.
Man, how y'all doing? How you feeling? What's life looking like?
Yeah, let us know. What is life looking like?
Drop us a line or two. Let us know how everything's going. We care about you. Or I care about you. Let me not speak for
Wow.
Lex.
I care about you. Otherwise, I wouldn't be speaking to the people.
That's true. And you speak to the people a lot.
In a weird way. You know, it's interesting that people are always paying attention or listening, even if you're not thinking about that.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of time people, I notice, they start to get this like kind of corny look when it looks like they're trying to always preach. But people really will be paying attention to you, or people really will look up to certain folks who are saying things. And so I'm not as mad at it anymore, because you really have to be careful about, the things you say. People really are paying attention.
They are.
So
they are. Not. Actually, I tweeted about that earlier today.
Oh gosh, what'd you tweet?
In a weird way. Because I was listening to Spotify and they played Tooted and Booted, YG. No, but there's a reason.
They used to play that in North Carolina all the time.
But I read a story talking about how YG actually really hates that song, Rolling. But that song used to be popping back in Oklahoma for no reason.
It used to pop everywhere in the South, pretty much, from what I remember. That was a trifling song too, by the way.
It's all bad. But he said he hates it. And it makes me laugh. And I'm like, God, I hope
I forget that's him, actually.
Yeah, no, me too. Because it doesn't sound like YG. It sounds like one of those things where the record label was like, no, you about to do this.
Kind of like with 2 Chainz and Titty Boy. How, a lot of people's old stuff it sounds a little different. Or even if you listen to old Drake, his voice sounded totally different. Old Future, if you listen to some old Future, his voice sounds so weird. It's so interesting to me.
Well, I think there's a level of freedom you get as you become more accomplished as an artist.
Mm-hmm.
Even Beyonce has changed and grown a lot, but I think that maybe she didn't have the agency in the beginning of her career that she does now.
Mm-hmm.
And so sometimes you kind of got to bite the bullet on that.
And sometimes you come into your style, I think, too.
Mm-hmm.
So
I think it's a mix of both.
Yeah, as you get further into your career or into life period, it's supposed to kind of change a little bit, I think.
I think, also depends on different opportunities.
Change for the better, I hope.
You going to start singing?
No. I sing everything, guys, so I'm sorry. I sing everything. and I'm not actually trying to be a singer, by the way. Yeah. So I don't want nobody playing me like, damn, you off key.
But she might be trying to be a rapper. She actually raps. So holla at us and let us know when you want.
Download my mixtape. I'm gonna wait till we get a few more episodes out, and then I'm gonna start dropping the links.
That's actually the real purpose of this whole podcast is to launch Lex's rap career.
And the sad thing is, it's gonna be totally not conscious, unlike this podcast. So it's gonna be tooted and booted. You're legit cracking me up right now. What are we talking about today, Carlie? Not my rap career.
Well, speaking of,
we are talking about careers, though, kind of.
We are. Today's topic is how to create opportunities for yourself. Creating opportunities for you. What does that look like? What does that feel like? How is that manifesting in your life? How has it changed? Mm-hmm. Since we started, I'm making really big hand gestures that you can't see unless you're watching the video. Check us out on YouTube. But it's about creating opportunities for yourself. Mm-hmm. And we can get right to it. So Lex, dog, what do you do?
What don't I do?
Oh,
that's actually really what I say now, because it's so many things. Oh shoot, I'm singing again, sorry. I am a social media marketing strategist by trade, I would say. I left grad school and started a company called Capitalized Social. Since then, I was in DC when I started my company, and I was in DC for a few years before I moved to LA. And since I've been in LA, I've also taken on some personal projects as well as another work project. So I'm also the core group for a startup that's called Sway Brand, and that's an influencer marketing platform. So it kind of is in the same vein as social media, to where it's just more specific to it's more influencer friendly, I guess, for connecting with brands, making deals, getting sponsorships, partnerships, etc. So we can get more paid, with a focus obviously on the diverse community. And I say obviously, but if you don't know me, then you wouldn't know that. It's weird too, because I've had somebody, people troll. There's this random person on Twitter. Every once in a while I was like, my sister, that's why you need to stop dealing with the white people and you need to stop supporting this and that. And I'm like, what information do you have? Because I don't even like them like that. But whatever. Everything I do is for us, or I try to make it for us. I also have a online community that I'm working on called the Success Squad. I got a few new people that actually signed up this week. I have a launch page up at thesuccesssquad.com. And it's essentially like a mastermind for people who just are interested in like a lot of the topics we're talking about. And people are signing up. I'm going to make some videos there and put up a book club and a bunch of other stuff.
That's awesome.
So that'll be cool. And then outside of that, I'm working on my research for an attribution model for how hip-hop affects sales of brands. So, for example, when Busta Rhymes did Pass the Courvoisier, or when Future did Gucci flip-flops, like how did that affect the sales of these brands, and can we get more recognition, can we get more money off of that, and being able to really look at the numbers and be able to go to people and say, hey, these people mention you, you're going to pop even more, so let's make this a business thing instead of all these rappers just mentioning these brands, and it's just like, okay, thanks for helping them, get bigger. So
I wonder about that. I was actually having a conversation recently because we were listening to "In Those Jeans" came on, and like he's Levi's Prada, Baby Fat, all them old school songs about Hypnotic, like popping. But I don't even think they got any money from that. It's
huge for the liquor industry, because we always are talking about different alcohol brands. And this isn't to say that we don't get anything off of it, because a lot of times, especially now, there is Ciroc and Hennessy, like they're smart enough where they know that they have partnerships with certain people, and to mention them is, money in their pocket. I mean, think about like DJ Khaled and Diddy and everybody right now. I keep seeing the product placement in like every different video now. So we get that recognition, but I just don't think I know there isn't any actual research on it, because I have seen some academic research around Pass the Courvoisier and how that affected the sales. So I want to do more about, hey, if a certain artist at a certain level mentions a brand, how does that affect a company, or how can it? So I have to pull out the different variables and
pull it out.
Yep. Run the numbers. Check the numbers.
I think that's so dope. It's like mixing nerdiness in a sense, which I love because I'm a nerd, with culture. Yeah,
which I love both of those things.
Oh my God.
I miss research so bad, because I used to do social science research when I was in grad school. But I really also love music, and I love, culture. Well, I did intercultural communications. So for me, my side projects, when I can involve it really in work, the things I care about, I try to do it in my side projects too.
Yeah, I love that. So it really is, what do you not do is a better question.
Yeah, there might be some other stuff that I'm forgetting to mention, but I mean, for the most part, it's clients and research and everything else. What about you? What do you do?
Same. What do I not do? I have about 88 hustles now.
You really do.
I'm hustling until my dream pays all of my bills and creates a lifestyle that I want. Like, I think I'll probably even still hustle then, but about things that I'm able to.
That's how you know you're a real entrepreneur.
Yeah.
It's not like I'm doing it to get to a certain point and be done. You always want to make something.
Always. I mean, but my number one strength in Strength Finders is ideation. And so I love ideating. I love helping people develop their ideas and create things. So I'm always helping my friends. This is like not even a paid thing yet. I'm manifesting that abundance. But I love people, like helping people develop their ideas and find things that they're passionate about. That's really like what the foundation of everything that I do is helping people create a foundation in which they can love themselves, take care of themselves, and chase their dreams. And so I do holistic health and wellness coaching. I'm a personal trainer. I teach yoga. I have my own clients. I teach classes. Here in Los Angeles, I teach online clients. Then I do some social media marketing and branding. You all right over there?
Just trying to fix my mic.
I do some social media marketing and branding strategy for my mentor and her brand. I recently wrote a book. I blog. And like my favorite thing, I'm trying to go through my head so I don't forget things. But my passion is my company, and I do holistic health and wellness and programming for schools, primarily middle school and high school, around the tenets of health literacy, mindfulness, and self-love, confidence, cultural awareness, and identity.
So if I had to put it into kind of a group thing, which I have to do frequently to keep everything you're doing on track, it's your physical, like training, working out at the gym, but then also you're developing curriculums and developing programming around those concepts for other people too. That's pretty cool.
Yep, and I love playing in the space of entrepreneurship also, because like I said, I'm an ideator. I love helping people develop their ideas. See, I'm getting so excited, I'm stumbling over my words. So helping
that's
other
how
people.
It is. And that's actually my thing too, because I'm working with the guys helping me develop a course for small businesses and individuals, something that's going to be affordable for people who don't want to do consulting and all of that.
Oh my God.
But he was like, oh, I noticed you got really excited when we started talking about culture and about helping people. And I was like, yeah, I like to see people get excited, and I like to see people realize what they actually care about and then come up with ways to make that their life instead of that's a side thing. And if it is a side thing, that's fine too. But a lot of times people ask me, and this is why we came up with this topic, is, like, how do I get more speaking engagements? Or how do I turn this into something else? Or how do I get people to think I'm an expert in this field? And so that's what we're kind of going to talk about today. For you, what opportunities would you say, like, you created for yourself?
That's a hard thing, like, just the verbiage around, like, creating opportunities for myself, because I think God and the universe have been very synchronistic in everything coming together. But when I say that, I'm not just sitting here waiting for them to do things. Like, I'm not sitting here like, all right, universe, I want this, drop it in my lap. No, it doesn't work like that.
It does not work like that.
I would say everything that I've done has been from work that I'm doing. Every opportunity I've ever had has stemmed from something that I'm doing or somebody that I met while doing something. Like, I've always been doing the work, and that's when something appears. Like, I went to USC for a business school and got a mentor, and from then got connected to a friend who put me in contact with my first school that became my first school for my program. And so everything, like, I'm putting myself out there in the sense that I'm going to conferences, I'm networking in a real sense, trying to build relationships with people in the field. I'm learning, I'm in classes. I am just trying to immerse myself in the space, and that itself, like, creates, like, ripple opportunities.
I like the way you answered that. At first, I didn't, because I was like, what do you mean? Like, you don't want to take credit for it. But I do agree with the fact that I wouldn't say necessarily that I created opportunities, but I've always taken the time to step back, think about and analyze what do I really want, and then my eyes are very, very open for those opportunities to then go on. And I also try to make sure that I'm prepared so that when opportunities are around me, that I'm ready to, like, prove myself or jump. Everything I've ever gotten, well, not gotten, but every opportunity has been because of networking, essentially.
Yeah.
Outside of, having the skills yourself, but it's through networking and being able to prove and show yourself. But I think there are still some things that you have to do for yourself to get in that position. But it's definitely not, like, the word self-made. I feel like a lot of people hate that word, or hate when people say I'm self-made.
I hate that.
It's very much a team effort / maybe community effort is maybe more of what I should say. Self-made is cool in that, yeah, you have to do something. Like, you have to do it. You have to move. You have to get up. You have to get things done. But how much could you really get done without people around you? Even some of these biggest billionaires and millionaires, like, their parents gave them money, or their cousins, or they lived with their parents till they were 30.
Yeah, no, and I think that's the biggest thing. But what first came to mind, you said, it's like, true, I'm no island peninsula, maybe. That's, like, the first thing that came to my head. Because we're not, right? Like, we're not islands. And I think when you say community, every opportunity I've gotten or received or been blessed with, however you want to put it, was because I put myself in those spaces, but also trying to put other people on. Like a lot of times I'm like, don't tell me what you do for yourself. Tell me what you do for everybody else. Like I don't care about what you do for yourself.
Giver's gain. Every time I do any lesson on social media, especially LinkedIn, I always talk about giver's gain and how I've won the most by always asking people, what do you need and how can I connect some dots for you? And that always comes back around so crazy. It's ridiculous how much better of a strategy that is than to go up to somebody and be like, what can I get from you? Who can I talk to? Who can I get something from? And if you start to ask people what they need, and you can't help everybody either, but I might find somebody I can connect you with.
I know
whatever.
Somebody that can. I know, just like I know that you do social media marketing, but we both met another lady who does it for earlier stage companies, and so now when you have them, you connect them with her, which I think is amazing. One of the biggest tips I learned about networking is creating value. Not even just in networking situations, but in friendships and business and in all my current relationships, like creating value for people.
You don't want to be the one sucking everybody else's energy and draining them.
No, not at all. Not at all.
But as entrepreneurs, would you consider yourself an entrepreneur first
Definitely.
of all? Okay. Because I think there's also kind of a difference between people who are like, I own a business, and being an entrepreneur, which I guess by the fact that we're doing a zillion things, that's kind of more of the entrepreneur way. But for people who aren't necessarily entrepreneurs or they don't have any interest in starting a business, there's still a way to create opportunities for yourself. Like even within your job, if there's a certain position you're looking for, if it's something in your community or whatever, I think everybody still has something that they're striving for, something that they want or that they're looking to achieve. And really, one of the first steps, again, is just to know what that is. So
yeah, well, to know what you want, or at least, like, you don't have to have it completely drawn out. Like, I want to do A, B, C, X, Y, Z, blah, 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 and have this perfect vision, because 100 times out of 10, it's not going to turn out like that. Exactly. So you kind of have to be loose with the area. Like, okay, well, I'm interested in, so let's say you're at your job and you're like, well, I want to start a nonprofit, but I don't have the resources or the time or any of those things. So you can start looking into partnerships with nonprofits. You can start looking into how you can create like a volunteering thing at your job. It's like starting small and doing things that are realistic for yourself. And then whenever the opportunity presents itself, you'll be ready.
That's real. You have to start where you are. Okay, so let's back up a little bit. Let's like straight up try to list and give some examples, because we're starting to now. But literally actionable things that you can take and see which ones apply to you. Some may not. But like I said, for me, the first thing in creating opportunities for myself was knowing what I wanted. And I think a lot of times I'll ask people about their goals or what do they want to do. Because sometimes people have this energy and they're like, there's something else. But I just don't, I don't really know what that is. I can't identify that passion. Again, everybody doesn't have to have that. But for me, how I figured out what that was by talking to some of my old professors. Like, this is before grad school. Talking to people, having them ask me questions. And I think sometimes you just need people to ask you the right questions.
Ideators.
And finding somebody else who can ideate. Even if you're that person, sometimes you can't do it for yourself as well.
It's hard for yourself.
Just like when anybody talks to me, I'm like coming up with all kind of business plans for them. And I'm like, dang, I need to do that for myself.
Shout out to this podcast.
Exactly. But part of that too is one huge thing that I tell people, and they're like, oh, what do people ask you about the most? Like, what do people already look to you and see you as, what do you know about?
I think that's a perfect example. So how I actually got into fitness, like, I've always been an athlete, so I've always loved sports and working out and being competitive and all that stuff. But I tore my ACL in college, and then my grandfather passed away. I was really sad, gained all this weight. I was like, I'm not going to claim depression, but I was dang near there. And then I started on my journey to get back healthy, and I was like, well, I don't want to flood my Instagram with workout quotes because people know, or with workout pictures because people are going to get annoyed. So I started a completely separate Instagram for my workouts. And my Instagram, Regular Girl Fitness, started popping.
So you still felt a need to, like, document this. You just didn't necessarily want it. You wanted it kind of separate.
Yeah, but for me, just so I can see my progress and my journey, it was something to hold myself accountable. And I started putting stuff on there. Cool. And what I realized is, like, I started getting all these questions and all these people talking about it. It was inspiring for them and helping them. And I was like, man, like, I love this. And people seemed to also love me loving this. And so it became this thing where I was like, well, I really want to be able to help you, but I want to make sure I really know what I'm doing. And so I went and got my personal training certification.
So now you studied it. That's perfect. So yeah, again, like if there's, for me, an example that would be how people are always in my DMs asking me, how do I start a shoe company, or how do I do something? And sometimes it's random, and I'll be like, I don't do that, but you know, there's always something that I can kind of give people. But I notice people ask me so much about productivity and self-discipline and
that's
the things.
A good episode.
Yeah, you're right. There's so many things about that, so we'll definitely add that to the list.
Write it down.
But that's how I know. That's what made me think, you know what, I should start the Success Squad type community, because everybody's asking me the same things all the time. Let's talk about it, and let me get y'all's feedback on what works for you. So that's the first thing for me. Knowing yourself, know what you are good at, what people see in you. And sometimes that's just listening to other people, seeing what they think.
And then also, if you have free time, how are you going to spend it? Like, and outside of like being like Netflixing and relaxing and sleeping and napping, because I love napping, or eating. How are you going to spend it? And like, what does that look like? And if it is eating, maybe you could start a food blogger thing if that's something you're super interested in.
Absolutely.
If you have free time, how would you spend it? And that also like leads to passions. Or if you had a little bit of extra money, how you gonna spend it? If you're not gonna blow it on reckless things, that is.
And that's the thing now. No, there's access to start a blog about anything, and whatever that thing is, if you love it, just talk about it. Because when it's more real to you, like you said with your exercise Instagram, you're just doing it because you actually like it, and people can tell when it's real and when it's authentic, when you really care about something. And that's always way more effective than you like trying to force something just because you saw this other person do this thing, or they made money doing that, so I'm going to do that. And it's never the same.
Man, make it real for me.
Yeah, make it real. So definitely create opportunities. At least do it in something you love and figure that out.
I think that's definitely the first step. The next step after you figure that out is looking at your circumstances, like looking at who you know, how much time do you have, how much money do you have to invest in said thing? Like, how passionate are you about it? Because a lot of people are like, well, I would start a company, but I have a full-time job. I'm not able to financially leave that right now because I have to do X, Y, Z, pay bills. Trust me, I get it. It's not for everybody. But that's not to say entrepreneurship or starting passion projects is not for everybody, because I believe that it is. And yours doesn't have to look like mine, because my life sure doesn't look like Lex's. It doesn't look like any other entrepreneurs we know. So looking at, okay, I have 3 extra hours every Saturday morning, I can go volunteer. Or I can try to start making my website. Or if I love food and I want to start a food blog, I can start visiting restaurants and checking out deals on Yelp.
Or start writing your own little reviews or something. It's what you said earlier, essentially about, hey, you may not have all of the funds to do something right now, but even at your job, what can you start with some of the coworkers? Or how can you just do something along the lines of the resources that you have? So for sure, especially, we talked about this a second ago as well, for sure you want to assess the people around you, because you may be able to help me out. Like, a lot of times people don't even know what you do that are close to you. And even if they do, people don't know what you need until you start talking about things. And one thing, again, kind of what we alluded to at the beginning, I like to let people talk, and then if they mention something that aligns with me, then I'll talk about what I do and see if we have synergy. Because again, I don't feel like it's necessary to talk about what I'm doing to everybody. Agreed. Because sometimes it's just like wasted words out there.
Agreed, 100%. What I will say is also closed mouths don't get fed, in the sense that I knew a couple people for a couple years maybe out here. I've only been out here a couple years, but for a while out here in LA. And they never knew what I did. And then somebody else mentioned it, and they were like, oh my God, we have all these connections, we could help you. So I think it's testing the energy, and not doing it in like a braggadocious way, which I feel like is hard for women, hard for people of color to actually humble brag is what they call it. But even to talk about what I do, because I don't ever want to come off like, well, excuse me, I do all of these great, because that's a
great point though, because again, a lot of times people, you feel like you're talking about it all the time, but you're not really. Like, people still don't exactly know what you do. And so it's okay to post something every day. I mean, not to be like, hey, call me for this, call me for that, sale, but showing you doing what you like or what you enjoy, so people actually can see that and talking about it. And if you do have a service, like I talked to a friend the other day who's trying to get into creating more video content. And it's like, hey, you're putting up a lot of stuff, but you're not actually saying, call me to make some video. Like, you're not actually telling people that you do this for work because he has another job. So you need to go out there and tell people they can hire you for an event or hire you for this and that. Not just see like, oh, you make cool stuff. But it's like, hey, you kind of want to get paid for it too.
Yeah, amen. Amen. And I think it comes down, one of my favorite quotes is, start where you are, use what you have, do what you can. Arthur Ashe, one of my favorites.
That's a good one. And that was one of the hardest things, I think, for me, because you see all the success stories or you see people's highlights and it's like, man, but you had so much money. Or sometimes I'll listen to a podcast and actually I'll turn it off if the person who's being interviewed or the successful, in quotes, person is like, yeah, you know, I started out with a small 100,000, and I'll be like, quick, because I can't identify.
Oh my God, I had a class that was about entrepreneurship, the entrepreneurial journey, I think is what it was called, and our professor was bringing in great entrepreneurs, but all of them were like, quote unquote,
from the top,
bootstrapping. But like, yeah, I borrowed, $235,000 from my father-in-law, and I'm like, that is so unrealistic.
Which is awesome. Like, and if you could do that, and you know what? And one thing I think we need to stop doing too is I feel like a lot of times we end up hating on those people instead of thinking, you know what, that is the position I would love to be in for my kids, to be able to, support them with whatever they want to do. However, when I hear stuff, I'm like, no, I need to know what are the strategies I can hop on my computer for the free and do right now. Because when I started my company, it was me and my computer because that's all I needed. So
my company is me and my computer.
Listen, that's all you need.
It,
but you got to keep learning and keep pushing and do it yourself sometimes. But that's where the networking comes in. So while you're getting your resources together and you know what you want to do, then what's next?
And on top of that, it's utilizing all of your free resources to get to where you need to be. Because don't ever say you can't do something because you don't have something. Because YouTube is hella free. And Starbucks has free Wi-Fi. Are we supporting Starbucks again?
You're right. I didn't stop, but we could talk about that later. Okay. That was a different type of thing for me. I wasn't mad at that.
Okay, that's a whole different. But so utilize all your free resources. Go to the library, read books. You want to start a blog, but you have no idea how to do it. Do that. Phone a friend. There are a million YouTube videos. Some of them are terrible, but some of them are actually really good and add value. YouTube University.
Yeah, everything's out there. So I think that is the point I thought I was trying to make 20 minutes ago, but don't give yourself any excuse. That's what the wrap up I needed. Don't give yourself any excuse for not moving forward with it. Even if you're not that person who got that $200,000 loan, you can still do it with what you have.
Yeah, and you're not stuck. Don't ever feel like you're stuck. And it's a mindset. I don't mean if you have to pay bills, because we all have to pay bills and taxes, which is all a thing that we just can't escape. But even people when they die, like their estates still have to pay taxes. Anyways,
it's expensive to die. Like either way, I'm like, shoot.
That's a side point. But don't ever feel like you can't do what you love. There's a way. It just might not look exactly how you want it to, and you have to let go of your attachment to how things have to manifest. Girl, I'm preaching to myself right now.
I know that's right. I'm gonna listen to this later. Like, girl, come on, get it together.
So we have know yourself, and then knowing your circumstances and utilizing what you have. What's next?
For me, it's very important to see things. And I like to write, and I like to visualize. And this is some of that like, ooh, hocus pocus, the secret stuff, which 100%, I don't think you just sit around thinking about something and it just happens. But when your mind is set towards this thing that you're focused on, the opportunities you're looking for, what you want to grow, it's important, I think, to see it and to write it. There's something that's different about literally writing something versus typing.
Handwriting.
Where it sticks in your brain. I would write my goals down every morning, like for a long time, like for years. I literally just stopped this year because I needed to like reassess and refocus. But it was helpful because next thing I know, it's like, oh, I did that one. Cross it off or stop writing that one out. And it kind of programs your mind for what you're looking for. So my eyes are more open for these things that I'm seeing. When I first started my consulting business, when I was still in grad school, or right after, where I lived, I had started a vision board and I had magazine clippings out. One of them was just an office building. And I was like, I want to have a consulting firm, but I don't know what I want to consult about at all. And then one day I looked up at it, at that vision board, which after a while, like I would just walk past it.
You stop seeing things.
Yeah, and so that's why, again, sometimes I refresh what I do. But I looked up at it one day and said, oh, shoot, I did that. And then I pulled it off and I said, oh, shoot, this other thing up here, like I did that too. And so I had to upgrade it and didn't even realize this whole time that I was making these things happen.
Girl, I have a couple of these stories, but I'll do a really quick one.
Mm-hmm.
When I was moving out of my apartment from grad school, from USC, after school I was moving, and I was like shaking out journals, like to throw them away, and like, well, some of them, but rereading a lot of them, and a piece of paper fell out of one.
Mm.
And I was like, yeah, right. And so I like opened
Real
it.
Disney-ish.
Mm-hmm. I have a picture of it too. I wrote a blog about it, but it said I want to go to USC for grad school. And I want to start like a company like in health and wellness. And I was like, oh my God.
And isn't it interesting that sometimes you forget?
I totally, I was like, what is this?
Were.
That's my handwriting. So clearly I wrote it.
Wow.
And my handwriting is crazy. But
I love that. That's why I still have a lot of my old notebooks, because I had my first business ideas, things, and some things I still haven't done yet, but I'll go back through and be like, oh shoot, that was a good idea. Or when I started a web series with a friend of mine, it was really 2 years later in a notebook I wrote down some kind of a show where we talk about social media and how it affects daily people. Now it's social media on every show. But we started it a couple years later, and it's like, oh, we did make that happen.
We did that.
So sometimes it's just putting it down on paper and just having something to look at, I think, is really helpful.
I think it's setting an intention, right? Because even when you set
that's what you're doing.
Yeah, when you write it down, you're putting energy towards it, whether you realize it or not. And where energy goes, where focus goes, energy flows, and energy is what makes things happen. And so even if you like we stop seeing things, like I have a little mini vision board that I need to recheck in with that I did at the beginning of the year, but I think there's just something important about writing it down and also looking at everything together. So if you don't know exactly what it is, you can put down areas like, okay, well, I want to work in health. I want to help build up the community. I want to build up people of color. I'm really interested in social justice. Whatever those things are, write down your passions. Yeah,
any little thing helps. And I've recently done that again, where sometimes you'll be working for a while and you're like, something's a little off, or I'm not quite right where I think I want to be. And I had to rewrite out on a whiteboard, what do I care about? And I just started writing things. And then I saw how, maybe if I turn this a little bit more this way, or add a little more of culture to this part of what I'm doing, I can make it more of feel like a complete, process of what I care about, and put all the dots together a little bit more, so I feel like I care more about it. Like I lost my juice, like why I was excited about it. And so sometimes I think you have to reassess too.
Yeah, no. And I think things change, right? Like I started out doing health and wellness because I wanted to be a personal trainer and help people on their health journeys. But the larger part is I want to create access for people who don't traditionally have access to holistic health and wellness, which are underrepresented communities. Like that is where my heart is on every level. And it grew into this thing based on this little seed that I planted whenever I realized that fitness was a passion.
So that's a good segue. So we've talked kind of about planting a seed and you kind of watering it. What is that process? Developing a process of taking these ideas and understanding what opportunities you're looking for, and how do you get in front of the right people? How do you find, that open space for you to really start performing and to do things, like to literally do things?
Shout out to Nike. You gotta just do it. Like for me, I know, so corny. Whatever, bro. She be judging me, but
I'm not judging.
No, it's real. Like your GPS, like can't update your directions unless you're going in a direction. And a lot of people feel stuck. I hear often like, well, you're like passion. I don't even know what to do. I don't even know where to get started. Start somewhere. If you think you're interested in 10 different things, pick the one that you could easily learn the most about or could read about, and just start walking that way. Like I'm telling you, life has a way of redirecting your steps that we can't even understand. Me and you talked about this a couple episodes ago, in the sense that we could not have planned our lives how they are. Like how all the pieces just fit together, and we didn't know we would end up here.
Once I knew what I was interested in, and I decided to go all in with my company, with social media, with developing marketing strategies, etc., there's a couple of actionable things I started doing. A huge part is establishing yourself as an expert and as an authority, which for me and for a lot of different people, and you may not think for you, but it may be, is speaking. And that's something that I would do for free, where I'd get in front of this leadership organization or this chamber of commerce. Hey, everybody needs somebody to come in and speak about, here's a 30-minute thing about social media and some tips you can use.
Yeah. So
to be in front of different groups, even classes, go in and talk to them. To get in front of groups, now who do they think about when sometimes it'll be a year later or more that somebody comes up to me or thinks about me or even just from, because I give so much information when I speak to people, that they get overwhelmed and they're like, right now, oh man, I need you to come in and can you talk to us about whatever it is. So for me, it opens up doors to speak. And how you get those speaking engagements is really a lot of times just emailing people and asking if they have a spot for you to come out and speak. Now, you may have to do some stuff for free at first, which I think, again, is fine when it's a 30, 45-minute type thing. I recently did, well, I say recently, I think it was like a year ago now, the Black Businesswomen Rock conference that's in Los Angeles. But I literally, somebody told me about it, asking me, saying I should go to it. And I went right to their website, noticed they had nothing about social, and I emailed them right there and was like, hey, I noticed you don't have anybody talking about social media, because it's Black businesswomen. So I said, let me know if there's any space. I don't know if it's too late. She immediately called me and was like, we need you to be there. Can you come?
That's so dope.
And I got maybe 5 or 6 clients out of that, and there's people who still hit me up and say, you may not remember me. I was like hanging outside of the door when you were doing that.
We were somewhere and somebody came up to you. Remember?
Where?
I don't even remember, but a dude came up to her and was like, oh, you spoke at blah, blah, blah.
Oh, yeah. At Vector 90. Yeah. He was there. He was
Jinx.
doing, no, he wasn't doing the photography there. He was there, I think, because he does websites and, something in a similar vein. And so it was smart for him to be there and network as well. But yeah. It was a lot of people that were just like hanging out of the door at that because nobody else was talking about social media. And social media is such a topic that for business, you really have to figure out an efficient way or else it'll just suck all of your time. So people are, really interested in it. So I was glad that worked out. But again, that's just initiative to just send that out.
So I think there were a couple important things just in what you just said. So it's becoming an expert. So you have to do your research. Like if these opportunities present themselves and you're not ready, it's all bad, bro.
Yeah.
Like you can't email
if you're
somebody.
A fraud, you'll immediately get weeded out. So keep it real with yourself.
And then circles are so small, like you do not want to do that. But in the same vein, even when you don't have all the pieces ready, if you're, a little bit confident, reach out, go out there, go learn. And then you can do pre and post surveys and ask people, how this could have been more helpful. So you can start getting better and fostering those relationships. But she had to believe in herself enough to reach out. I'll say for me, at USC, one of my professors, like last minute was like, yo, I need you to help me do this yoga mindfulness thing. And for me, I'm like, oh, like I just did my yoga teacher training. Like, oh, I don't know. These are my classmates. But you know what? I'm going to do it. I'm going to come through for him. And then he brought me on. Yes. He brought me on for other workshops. And now people know like, oh, you teach yoga at USC. I'm like, actually, I do.
I saw somewhere, I think there was a book about it where it's like, just say yes to everything for a day. I think I tried it for a day. And you just say yes to everything. But it's interesting how much we do kind of doubt ourselves. And when a lot of times if people ask you if you want to do something or if you can take on this opportunity, if you just say yes, a lot of times you start going down the road, like you said, and those resources that you need come up along the way. The things you need to know come up along the way. And action is super key. Action, period.
Action in it. You don't have to wait for things to be perfect because your website's not going to be perfect. Your logo's not perfect. Your business cards, you might not even have. I still ain't got no business cards. Like whatever.
I didn't have a website for like the first 3 years of my business.
And you did social media, which is crazy.
Just because I was like, I don't have the money to pay somebody and I don't know how to do it. Now I can make websites.
See, which she does. She made ours. Go check it out.
Uh-oh.
Carlie'sCouch.com. But yeah, I think so. Establishing yourself as an expert, so actually gaining some of that base knowledge and doing things, having the confidence to reach out. But if you don't know who to reach out to, if there's not a conference, do research. Go to a conference that you think might be for you, and you get there and it's not. Network with people.
That's a good investment to go to conferences to network.
My God, please go to conferences. Because that's how you really meet people, and whenever you're top of mind for them. Like I met this dude at Starbucks, and I was telling me how I did social media marketing and branding stuff, just like very loosely. I was like, oh, it's just a side thing. I barely do it. He reached out to me for some help. And then also you talked about providing value for people, even if it's free. So even if they don't pay you in the beginning, I believe everybody should be paid what they're worth. But until you get on that level, and maybe even when you are, you still have to provide value for people.
And I think that there's so much that I can talk about that for me to do 30, 45 minutes, and maybe I take it for granted because I'm like, I didn't even tell y'all nothing, but people will be like, wow, oh my gosh. So you really just can't think that what you're saying isn't good enough or isn't enough because man, it's a lot of people out here. They don't know the base, and that's why, again, you're the authority on it. I don't like being called an expert, and I try not to use that really, because we're always growing into it, and I think it's more of approving yourself versus coming out like now you go to people's Instagram and everybody's like, I'm a marketing expert, and I'm a this expert, and I'm a that. And it's like, everything you're talking about I get to figure out on YouTube. But
yeah, and things change so fast. Technology changes every day. Algorithms change every day.
You gotta stay on top of it.
Yeah, that's why even when I say like, oh, I do social media marketing and branding strategy, I'm like, I kind of say that under my breath because it changes all the time.
2 more quick things that I can think of for getting in front of the right people. Obviously, broadly is networking, but within networking, if you went to college, look at your, what is that, like the monthly magazine you get from your college? I always look through that. Do you get one of those?
No.
Oh, gosh, you can sign up for it. So I get the little magazine from the college, and they always are, like, highlighting alum and what they're doing now. They're all doing all these crazy, cool things and the stories of people from your school. But anybody who went to school with you is likely to connect with you for sure on stuff.
Well, what I was going to say on that vein is reaching out to people on LinkedIn, but, like, sending them a message. So instead of just adding somebody, I would say, hey, I am an alum. I'm a fellow alum, and I would love to have a 15 or 20 minute chat with you about this. I'm interested in this. And it's really hard for people to turn down a 15 to 20 minute chat. Whether
and if you have that connection, that alum connection, which is what I was getting to, because with our magazine, I'll be like, hey, I saw you got featured, and your article was great. And then I go into whatever, even if it's just, I just want to connect with you. But then they look at your stuff and they see who you are. And sometimes that can turn into something.
Yeah, I mean, it's a great place to, like, learn from people or to get connected. And I'm not saying, like, reach out, like, say, hey, I need a job. That might not work. If that's your thing, you can try it. But I mean, just, like, getting to know people and build genuine relationships in your field. And
I feel like we'll talk way more about networking in another episode, too, because there's a lot of tips for that. One other thing for establishing your expertise, a young lady in DC put me onto this, and it's been really cool and really useful. It's called Haro.com. Have you heard of that? Haro. It stands for Help a Reporter Out. Actually, I think the website is helpareporterout.com, but it's called Haro. You sign up, it's free, and what you get is, I think it's 3 times a day, but you can set it to go to a specific folder or something. But it's literally a list within whatever topics you say you're into. So they have, like, physical and wellness. They have, for me, like, business, tech, different things like that. It's all these reporters from Time, Washington Post, to little things and blogs who are reaching out, and they're looking for people to answer certain questions or to give, like, a sound bite or a quote. Yeah. So there'll be questions, and they'll say, well, what is your experience using Facebook ads? And so you can write something back to be like, I do this, and I'm this, and this is what I think about it. And then they'll reach back out to you if they want you to be part of their article. So that's a really good way to start getting into as seen ins and things like that on your site or on your blog too, and to get out there and to show people that you do know what you're talking about as well, and that's free.
Yeah, it is. I think adding on to that, once you start to build up your expertise and to let people know what you're doing without being like, hey, I do this, hey, I do this, start writing a blog or doing a vlog or posting articles either on your LinkedIn or on your Facebook or whatever social media you use about things that you're researching and learning about. Because if I see an article from you all the time about technology or Bitcoin,
and what's latest,
and I'm like, oh, wait, I have Bitcoin, now I know to call you. And whereas before I might not have made that connection in my mind.
That's a great point. If you really care about something, and again, this goes back to our very beginning, this is why it's so important to actually care about this thing or to really want this, because it's a lot of work on you to just actually write and create and let that get in front of people for sure.
Yeah, because I might not want to read 14,000 articles on Bitcoin to understand something, but if you read them and you create an infographic, for me, infographics are really shareable. And if I'm like, oh, and it has the sources and stuff on it, I'm like, oh, I can trust this, I can share it, and it helps give me points to go through and think through things that might be related to whatever subject that it is.
Absolutely.
I would say on that, I have a quick point is a market is never too saturated for you to join.
I'd agree with that. I think I used to not agree, but I agree with that now.
Well, my advice would be to find your niche. Because there's a million personal trainers, but I'm still one, but I'm me. And what I bring to the table is very different from what other people do. And I'm not necessarily, like, taken aback by that or not wanting to be in the industry just because there are so many other people. Because first of all, there's enough for all of us to make it.
Mm-hmm.
There is so much out there.
No scarcity mindset.
No scarcity mindset. It has to be abundance. And somebody else being successful doesn't affect you being successful. Like, we're all able actually to make it. But still excited, still stumbling over words.
That's a really great point, though, too. It's because even if there's a million fitness trainers or personal trainers, people a lot of times will work with you because of you. Like, they just work with you, period. Even if you cost more or whatever, they will choose you because of the way you work, your attitude, whatever it is. So, and the cream always rises to the top. So there could be a bunch of podcasts, there could be a bunch of this or that, but hop into it. If you enjoy it, learn how to do it right, find your opportunities, and if it's good, it'll be successful.
And I have another song in my head. But on that, like, find your niche. So, like, I'm not just a personal trainer. I'm, like, a holistic health and wellness specialist. Like, I'm interested in you being whole, like, mind, body, soul. That is my take. My best friend does Reiki and traditional Chinese medicine. That's her take on it. And it's very different. The way you do social media and the size of companies you work with and at what stage you work with them is very different than other people. So you kind of have to narrow out your niche and whatever. And there could be a gap where people need things there where nobody's filling.
Exactly. I like that. So I feel like we've given a lot of tips. And overall, when you know what opportunities you're looking for, you create, you practice, you link up with people that make sense. Keep your eyes open is a huge thing. I tell people all the time, because I write things down or because I have in my mind the vision of what I'm looking for, what opportunities I want, my eyes are just always open. So now it's not like I'm stumbling aimlessly. It's my brain is looking for it. And that's what I wrote down here. It's called frequency illusion. And the German word for it is Baader-Meinhof phenomenon. But for example, when you get a car, like if I get a Toyota, all of a sudden you start seeing it everywhere. And so when you start thinking about something or you're looking for, man, I want to speak somewhere or what can happen, it's like your brain is looking for that in everything around you and you start to see it. So now you're more prepared to take advantage of that opportunity. So keep your eyes open for sure. That's another big thing for me.
I would almost call it synchronicity. Like, that's how people are like, how do you know you're on the right path or all these things? Like,
that's what that feels like, yeah.
People start talking to you, start asking questions. You start seeing articles and conferences that you didn't know were there. Like, I wanted to do
that's exactly what
a mindfulness conference.
Or when people are like, they call you and you're like, oh, I was just thinking about you. That's what that is.
Yes. Oh, I love it. I love it. I would say the last one is, like, it's a lot of work. Anything that you're going to do is a lot of work, but that doesn't mean it can't be fun because you can do it in your own way. But that doesn't mean that it's not going to suck sometimes. And that shouldn't scare you from doing it. I mean, we real. Yeah. Let's be real. Like, it sucks sometimes, but the benefits far outweigh never chasing your passions or your dreams or what makes you happy.
Or getting those few wins too. It super motivates you to just keep going because you can have like a rough patch or nothing's happening and then all of a sudden stuff happens and you're like, man, if I hadn't been prepared, I wouldn't even seen this opportunity or I wouldn't been able to take advantage of it or whatever it is. But a lot of times these opportunities are work. It looks like work. So when it comes to, like we said, you may have to talk for free somewhere or you may need to ask somebody, hey, can I shadow you? Or can I be an intern or whatever it is? And yes, I get it. Everybody has bills. We all have bills. But sometimes you need to think less about what am I going to get from this and look at it as this is an opportunity for you to learn and for you to shine. And you just got to take that extra grind and like just to get in there and work on what you're trying to work on.
Yeah, I mean, for you to grow. Like, if you want to be the best version of yourself, the happiest version, all these things, like, that takes work. But the benefits, like I said, the other side, which I'm still, still working. We still working. But it's just such a blessing. Like, just the opportunity. And once you're doing what you love, like, man, those wins are everything. Yeah,
it's awesome to feel like you're creating your life, which is what I like most about mine, I think, is that for me, these opportunities are just me thinking about something else I want to do, and then somehow there's a space for it and it just works out. Everything isn't, forever or for a long time. But again, sometimes all of these little opportunities are things I'm interested in and get some opportunity to work in or within that area lead to something else. And I keep getting closer and closer. Like, oh, I didn't even know I actually care about this too.
Oh,
or like that.
I never thought I'd be working with middle school. Good God. Because middle school is awkward for everybody involved.
Mm-hmm.
But all of these opportunities kind of led to that. And now I do coaching and all these things that weren't my original goal, but that,
But do you love
me.
it or do you like it?
Love it. I love working with them.
Good.
But that opportunity, the school that I coach at also became a school that does my curriculum. And so I took the coaching job not to get them on my curriculum, but then I was around and this opportunity happened.
Smart.
Voila.
And then you get to come in there with another angle and you already have the relationships built with them.
Exactly. And they already know who I am and I was ready. And I brought my A game and they trusted me, so that's a big part of it, is doing the work behind the scenes.
That's awesome. So for our listeners, let us know if any of those ideas or steps are things that you've tried. If you have any good experiences having created some opportunity or something just happened and, it worked out or it led to something that was bigger, just tell us about it, or try some of the things we've said. If you haven't tried them before, try all of them. Shoot. And it doesn't hurt.
And if you have questions, also feel free to reach out and let us know. Also, let us know if you're listening. Screenshot it. Hit it on your Insta story. Tag us. Like I said, if you have questions, you can also...
CC Fierce over there.
Hey,
tag on Instagram.
Lex_Topia over here. And also, you can ask questions on the website if it's something that you don't want to post on your story necessarily. You can reach out there. 2 quick things before we close out today on creating opportunities. The first is our shout out. You want to hit that up first? What you doing, girl? What you doing?
I'm going to shout out. Oh, yeah, we can shout out our opportunities that we have coming up. Okay. So I am going to be on a panel. And the panel itself is called How We Built This. And it's part of the Shine Hard Families Summit. It's called Shine Hard Summit. A guy named Johnny Bailey, he created that in DC, where he just started interviewing people who started their own businesses, who have their own programming and organizations they're making, as a way to get that information in front of other people, similar to what we're doing now. And so he's put together a summit. This is the second one. It's the weekend of the 29th and 30th, and we'll all be talking about how we created our businesses a little bit more in detail. So that's definitely something. Hopefully I'll have some footage and some photos or video from that we can share too.
That's amazing. And it's funny because creating is a big part of that, what you're doing. And also the one that I'm going to shout out to the Auditory Museum, amazing company that one of my friends, Kiara, Imani that's her Instagram, but Kiara Imani started the Auditory Museum with some of her friends, and it's about storytelling, and they're hosting a master class on finance, budgeting, and negotiations for women.
Oh, that's cool.
Especially
that's very necessary.
Women of color, but definitely women in general, all creatives, and what that looks like in business. Like if you have a side creative gig, if you're full-on creative, like what that looks like, any tips on negotiation and budgeting and finance. It's called Femme in Fortune, which I think is super dope. Yeah.
That's cool.
And so I'll be hosting.
Yeah.
And interviewing panelists. Shout out to them doing such amazing work.
Awesome.
Yeah. I'm going to close with the question.
And they just saw you doing your thing and invited you?
Yeah. She
That's
was
how
like,
it is.
yeah, exactly. Because we're friends, but I never asked her. I knew she was doing the event. And I was like, hey, let me help you plan. Because she said she was kind of overwhelmed and, need this. I was like, girl, let me help you plan. And she was like, wait, you want to work on speaking and hosting and stuff, right? Yeah. And I was like, yeah. She's like, all right, come on.
See? It doesn't stop. We're still creating opportunities. We're still in both of those giving value back. And that's kind of the backbone of it, is that we always want to give out information. And it just is nice to be in front of crowds who can get something from that and then take that and pass it on and pass it on. So that's kind of what all this is about, is the wealth building, the sharing information. And I think that's really how you win.
Rising tides raise all ships.
Ooh.
Ooh, I'm like,
never heard that before, but that's beautiful.
Master today. Yeah, that's, like I said, access, helping everybody else out. Like that's really where my heart is helping everybody else achieve their dreams, because I believe, rising tides raise all ships. Like you succeeding will only help me succeed, which only helps everybody else succeed. And we can talk about how that relates to social justice and other things and other. That's a whole nother 10 episodes.
All right, hit us with the question of the week, Carlie.
All right, our question of the week, something we want you to ponder on, is, am I leaving room for what might happen?
Ooh.
Oh, Lex, are you leaving room for what might happen?
What does that even mean? The way I interpret that question is, yes, I have plans, but what if something else happens or I see another opportunity And it might not be what I thought I wanted to do or what was right on my path that I was expecting, but am I open to see that and to explore it? And I always am, I would say. If it's something I enjoy, like even with this whole music and research thing was kind of random and I just stumbled into that and then just started doing it. But I am leaving room for what might happen because I may have plans, but life has its own course sometimes, and you do have to be adaptable.
Girl, that's how we both ended up living in LA.
Mm-hmm.
Like, don't be so committed to your plan that it stops your progress. It's one of my favorite quotes, like from my mentor.
Quote master
oh
for
my
real.
God, I know. As soon as I said it, and then it just keeps happening. But what I would say is let go of your attachment to how things have to manifest in your life for them to be good or correct or whatever. Like, there is no right or wrong when it comes to how blessings come to you. And if you're not open to receiving them, you might miss out on some amazing things.
And that's when you go crazy trying to hold on to something and it's not working out. It's like, girl, let that go.
Girl, we just talked about moving
this thing has space for you over here, so go that direction instead. So for you listeners, hashtag Carlie's Couch. CARLIES couch. COUCH.
I was going to say, please spell that right.
Am I leaving room for what might happen? Let us know. Or what does that mean to you? And are you leaving room for what might happen?
Yeah, hit us up. Let us know.
Dad, we're not going to say bye to them?
I mean, I was waiting for you so I could always finish.
Thank you for listening again, guys. We'll have another episode for you next week. Let us know how you like this one. Leave us a review. Leave us 5 stars. That would be nice.
5 stars.
Like 5. If it's 4, just don't leave it and just email me. I could do better. But if it's 5, leave 5.
Valid. Yeah, leave us positive feedback. But bye, y'all. Thank you so much.